Hey, what's up everyone, and welcome to my review for Exodus: Gods and Kings, which is a brand new movie starring Christian Bale and Joel Edgerton and directed by Ridley Scott, the guy that did, of course, recently Prometheus, but I will always remember him as the director of Alien and Blade Runner, two of my favorite films. Hell, I'll even throw Gladiator in there. I love that film. Hey, I love Ridley Scott, even though he's done some not so great films like G.I. Jane, A Good Year, recently The Counselor. Really didn't like. There's quite a few movies out there I don't really care for that he has directed, but he's done some great ones too. So can't just shoo him away. I like him. So anyway, I was actually looking forward to seeing this film. It's of course about the classic tale of Moses and Ramses, as Moses finds out he is a Hebrew, even though he thought he was Egyptian the entire time. He finds out he's a Hebrew and has to save his Hebrew people from Ramses, his brother, his half-brother, I guess you could say, from his evil tyranny as he uses the Hebrews to build whatever he wants and mistreats them and stuff. God tells Moses, hey, Moses, do this. I know you want to do it. I know you love your Hebrew brothers. You got to go and save everybody from your brother, Ramses. And of course, Moses is like, hey, man, that's what I got to do. I love my people. Let's do this. So that's pretty much the story. I already explained the story, except fill in Christian Bale plays Moses and Joel Edgerton plays Ramses, and all these other white people play Egyptian people. And that's pretty much the story of Exodus: Gods and Kings. So I already talked about the story before I even got to the story. Usually I do intro and then story. Whatever, who cares? So there you go, there's a story and that's the intro. Let's get into this. Good review so far. I have to admit, the story here is one of those classic tales. Whether it be true or not, I'm not gonna talk about that. I don't care. But it is one of those tales that has been told in movies before. Hell, it's been animated before in Prince of Egypt, which is one of my favorite films. And Ten Commandments, of course, and probably a bunch of others that I'm just not remembering right now. But those are the two big ones, definitely. And I have to tell you right now, I am a huge fan of the story, but Ridley Scott and the writers just screwed it up bad in this movie. I have to admit, I really didn't like the telling of Moses and Ramses and stuff. I already told you the story, so I don't need to explain it again, but really didn't like it. I didn't feel the brotherhood between Moses and Ramses in the beginning like I did in even the Ten Commandments and Prince of Egypt, especially Prince of Egypt. But Prince of Egypt is a marvel to me because it's a huge story. It's really an epic tale condensed into an hour and a half animated film with music numbers, and it does it so well. It really does. Prince of Egypt is a fantastic film, in my opinion. One of the best 2D animated films of all time. Very overlooked, in my opinion. I love that film. And this movie couldn't even do that in an extra hour of running time. Live action with no musical numbers. Couldn't do that with fantastic actors like Christian Bale, Joel Edgerton, Sigourney Weaver, Aaron Paul, Ben Mendelsohn, Ben Kingsley. A bunch of Oscar-nominated, Oscar-winning actors. You can't do that with an extra hour of running time and make me actually care. With a huge $140 million budget, you got a problem. Now, I don't hate this film. I'm not going to tell you I hate this film, because there is actually a lot of good parts in it. I just didn't feel that the story connected. I thought, like I said, Ramses and Moses, I didn't feel any connection, no brotherhood at all. In the beginning, there was a part where they're kind of camaradeing and stuff, and they're fighting together in a battlefield. And at first I was like, okay, I can kind of sense something. And then it pretty much gets dropped after that, and then Moses goes his separate way and whatever. They meet up here and there after that, but I never felt a connection at all. I never felt like they were brothers, which, blood related they weren't, but they were together their entire life. And I never felt like they were brothers. I felt like they were just actors pretending to know each other for the last 20-something years of their life. I didn't get that at all. I didn't get no connection, which is a huge problem, seeing that they are the centerpiece. All of the other side characters in this, all the other side actors, are completely characterless. You do not know anything about them. Joshua, played by Aaron Paul, you don't know anything about him besides that he likes to stare at Moses while he talks to God. That's about it. You don't know anything about the Queen of Egypt, played by Sigourney Weaver, which is hilarious to me. Sigourney Weaver is Queen of Egypt. You don't know anything about her. Nothing. She stares and says one thing here and there. Oh, you know that she doesn't like Moses. That's about it. You don't know why. She just doesn't. You don't know really anything about John Turturro's character, who plays the original Pharaoh in the beginning of the film. You don't know really anything about him besides maybe he's noble. kinda, even though he, slaved a bunch of Hebrews to do his work. So not that noble. You don't know anything about Ramses. Nothing besides he's a dick, and he I guess had a brotherhood. I didn't really feel it. You don't know really anything about Moses besides that he's kind of noble, and he's fair, I guess. You don't know anything about these characters, really, especially the side characters. But the two main characters, you still don't know anything about them. But the side characters, they might as well be invisible. You don't even realize they're there. Well, by the time the credits roll and it says Christian Bale, Joel Egerton, all right, I remember them. Aaron Paul, oh yeah, Aaron Paul was in this. Sigourney Weaver, oh shit, okay. John Turturro, I was like, oh yeah, that's right, he was in it 2 hours ago. And then he stopped being in it. You just forget these actors are in there. And, I mean, their performances aren't bad, but they're just not in it that much. I know I've been going on a lot about the acting and, whatever. But the story is really the main point of this. I mean, sure, the special effects are pretty damn good. They look really nice. I actually do really like the interpretation of the plagues in this film. And even the Red Sea, which I'll talk about in a second. I'll talk about the plagues in the Red Sea more later on. But I just have to say this. I was really disappointed that they got this huge cast of just pretty much white actors playing Egyptians, and they don't do anything with them. So what was the point of even having Sigourney Weaver, John Turturro, Aaron Paul? You could have just casted Egyptians or people that even looked slightly Egyptian, or just anything. You could have picked Idris Elba to be the Queen of Egypt, and I would have accepted that way more than Sigourney Weaver. Put his ass in a wig. I would have accepted that way more. But still. I thought that was a really weird thing to do, especially since you barely see them. You barely see them in the trailers, especially like Aaron Paul. You see him stare like he does in the entire film in the trailer once, and that's it. And he's a big name. Breaking Bad. Need for Speed. Okay, maybe not Need for Speed. But Breaking Bad. Still a huge show, even though it's over. That is a huge negative to me, and the story is just not well told, even though there's some cool things, like the interpretation of God as a child, really, really interesting, and I thought the child actor did a damn good job. Probably the most... I know the most about God in this film than I know about anybody else in this film. I know God as a kid is very whiny, very self-centered, thinks everybody should act like he should. He's very much a kid, and it's a weird interpretation of God, but you know what? I kind of liked it. I kind of dug it. I was like, oh, this guy's kind of a dickbag. He doesn't sound noble at all. I know I say that word a lot in this review, but he's not noble at all. He's just a kid. He's just like, hey, I want everything the way I want it. And I thought that interpretation was kind of unique for this kind of tale. Usually it's just God. He has a deep, booming voice. He's like, I am God. Do what I say, Moses, or I'll strike your ass down. And this movie's just like, do it now, I'm a kid. And I thought the kid did a damn good job. I thought so. And I thought it was interesting. I thought it was, well realized and for the most part. I also thought the plagues, when it gets to that part, which of course is the part where God sends a bunch of plagues down to pretty much kill all these Egyptians and stuff. Not really kill, just terrorize them pretty much. And I thought that was really well realized, especially since it actually connected. Each plague actually connected to one another. Like the first one was like the blood. I mean, the water gets tainted with blood, so the water is undrinkable, and all the fish start dying. That means the frogs come back up from the water, and they have to find a new place to go. And of course, they dry out and die. And because they die, a bunch of flies come, and the flies, of course, terrorize and whatever, start making people sick. They get a bunch of infections on their face and stuff. And I thought that was really cool how they interlaced each one. I thought that was really interesting, and I thought it was very, very well done. Most entertaining part of the film, easily. And yeah, I really, really liked that. But really, and the special effects, like I said, were really, really good. I really liked the Red Sea part. At first, I didn't, because the Red Sea, if you remember, is the sea that splits in half. So they can, Moses and the Hebrews can, traverse and, get away from Ramses and stuff. But in this film, it's not really splitting. It's more like it's a low tide, and then it turns into a tidal wave. So it's pretty much like a tsunami in a way. And I thought that was very interesting to do, even though I would have liked to see a sea getting split in half. I still thought it was really interesting that they went with the tsunami. I thought that was more realistic, obviously. I thought it was more believable. I really liked it for the most part. And the special effects are great for the most part. And like I said, the acting is good. It's just the story. It's just so blah. I'm just going to review here and say this, alright? Exodus Gods and King is a mixed bag. It has some really good moments. It actually has some pretty good action scenes too. Even though the marketing makes it sound like there's going to be a big action scene at the end, there isn't. There's no action scene. It pretty much ends like, alright, they're getting chased. Oh, it's over. The end. 10 Commandments. Oh, and then the end. There you go. Credits. That's pretty much it. So it makes it seem like there's going to be a big battle at the end. There isn't. There's no gladiator style like battle. There's no tigers. There's none of that. There's no lions either. There's nothing. There's really nothing. It's just a chase sequence at the end. But still, I thought the action when it got to it, especially in the beginning, was very well filmed, very tense, I would say even. And the special effects, all the sets look great. The plagues look great. Perfect, actually, I would say. So yeah, the special effects were great. There was moments where it was entertaining, even if it was a 2.5 hour film. I wasn't completely bored throughout. There was times where I was just like, all right, wrap this up. I really don't care about their relationship. And then they did something like, oh, the plagues or something, you know, or oh, the Red Sea, or oh, there's God again. He's crazy, and let's see what he's thinking. I thought that was really, you know, the most it got entertaining was when either of those three things were happening. I didn't hate this film. I didn't, but it's disappointing, and I hope Ridley Scott does better next time. I'm going to give this a 21 out of 40, a little above like average, a little bit above. That's pretty much, that's all I can give it though. So Exodus Gods and Kings, a disappointment. I know this was a long review, but I was really looking forward to this film, and it disappointed me. It's a huge story. Prince of Egypt did it better. 10 Commandments did it better. The original story did it better. So just read or watch one of those three things. So anyway, there you go. Just don't go see it. I mean, go see it when it gets on DVD. Maybe you'll like it then. But don't see it in theaters. Even the big action scenes, not really worth it. The big tidal wave, doesn't matter. Don't even worry about it. So anyway, there you go. Thank you and goodbye.